those templates, and they're looking at figuring out how does the founder resonate with all those aspects of the journey. Like I said in the previous few minutes, the earlier few minutes, I did talk about the fact that the founder, the market size, and the fundability. So the whole diligence will be around validating all of these factors. If somebody is talking about an area where they're building massive amount of tech, let's say you're coming up with a blockchain idea, then the person will go down the path of understanding the application layers of those functional aspects of it. So the diligence is going to go that level of depth. People will go down and compare what is happening by the incumbents, who are the people who you're going to work with, and kind of get a validation that this is going to be a smooth ride. In the diligence, I think the best of investors are not looking at, or should not rather, look at reasons not to do an investment. The moment we take that lens, I promise we can find 100 reasons in the conversation and the diligence thereafter not to do something. It's really about what are those 1, 2, or 3 areas that if clicked will go all the way, and then validating whether the founder team between them have those as matching areas. And that is the importance of thesis, and that's why I said about a few minutes ago that having the right investor is super crucial. Because if it's a generalist investor who is looking at this as one of the many things that they do, then probably you've lost the plot. Understanding the thesis, having a view on what's happening, and having an opinion are crucial. There might be differing opinions, and that's perfectly fine to take your capital from somebody who has a differing perspective. If both of you know that, you can keep your differences out and look at building it from here on. And I'm not referring to common minimum agenda. That's a disaster, because then that's neither the founder's choice, neither what the investor would like to fund. It's always the founder and his drive that has to fund the business, and the investor, as I feel that okay, this is what I feel strongly and this is how it has to be built, I might as well get on from my job and start a company, and that's when I can really dictate as to how it has to happen. So it has to be a journey, a collaboration where the investor moves on with the differences and comes closer to the founder and resonates with that. You could start from differences, but eventually it has to converge. Or the person feels strongly that okay, I'm doing a counterintuitive bet because I really my love of the founder, I resonate heavily with the passion and the solution in the space, that okay, this difference is something I can ignore and live with. And those are the candid conversations that form the crux of diligence, is what I would call. So yeah, that's broadly the aspects of the diligence. The thesis will cover pretty much everything around the nuances of regulatory frameworks. We don't know tomorrow what the IRDA might choose to come back with. So one has to be able to understand whether the founders have the ability to evolve. And that does not mean plan B. It's always, people do tend to mix up that evolution means the ability to shift and pivot. Not necessary. But if there are changes, how does one react to those changes? And what have the founders or the senior management team thought about some of those? So these are some of the aspects that really matter. And then comes the usual more tangible stuff, which is talking to your customers if you're an enterprise business, looking at the cohort of the data if you're a B2C business, looking at your margin profiles. And one does talk about the startup-ish way of talking about your margins, which is CM1, CM2, CM3. Those were good excuses 10 years ago or even 5 years ago to justify burn and non-profitability. I do think that the conventional metrics matter, and fintechs have only 3 ways to depict their metrics. Either you're a BIPS business where you're generating 10, 20, 50, 100 BIPS from the activity that you pursue, or you're a NIMS business. As example, you're a credit business, so you get NIMS. The NIMS could be from 2.5% to 6%, 7, 8%, whatever you do. So either you're a BIPS business, you're a NIMS business, or you're a subscription business. There's nothing more to it, really, in a fintech business. You can call it various terms, but eventually it does form part of one of these 3 avenues. So then you actually go down diligencing and validating those areas as well, and try and say that okay, there is a overlap being pitched that some businesses could have a B2B angle to it, and the founder says, okay, I will do this also, most savvy investors will ignore more than one. Like I said earlier, adjacencies is a hard sell, more so in aspects around fintech. So I would say that try and be focused, try and demonstrate the fact that the area that you are going after, the core area, is good enough for it to sail well as a stable listed proposition. And I think you are in a better space rather than to depend on many adjacencies. Let that be the investor's gravy. If adjacencies pick off, and instead of delivering a $2 billion outcome, we ended up with a 10 billion, okay, I don't think anybody complains, and that's my good luck and yours. So why bother? So all what we discussed, while I did give certain examples, and I was candid enough to admit that we published a report and now we do feel that the report has to be changed and tweaked. There are case studies also, which I think would be incomplete not to share those. So I'll talk about this business, IDFI. The business started off from a very different lens. It was looking at solving a problem which would be classified under HR services, where they were gathering data and trying to give a score as to what I would be if I submit all my certificates and credentials. They would verify that and give me a score. So if I'm a 9 on 10 and they verified those aspects, that means that all my credentials actually end up tallying. Somebody who looks at the score can say that, yeah, this person can be employed, or we can admit this person as a member of this club, or we can give Fred facility to this person, or we can onboard this person as a tenant. Various use cases. And because they were getting into data, the founder was very savvy. They were, one thing led to the other, and today they are the forefront when it comes to the use cases for the BFSI industry on the infra side of things, whether it's a KYC, whether it's a data protection, whether it's security, fraud management. They've really been one of the market leaders in the space. And that journey from a vanilla HR services product to a very sophisticated financial services product, selling to banks and integrating with banks, was a very different journey. It has taken about 13 years for that journey. It takes a certain DNA of the founder. And none of us were evaluating that business from that lens and were believing that that's what it will go to. Neither the founder was making that pitch. It came down to those three factors, like I said. The founder, how stellar the founder was, or how passionate we were behind funding that particular idea. And some of these are mad ideas. They do look tough, but there has to be some method to the madness. Right from day one, there has been a little bit of the disdain to say that, okay, I am building something that can be eventually bought out by Google or LinkedIn or Facebook. For all you know, what you're building is something that they already have, and as soon as you launch, they will be launching it, or it's a part of the bank in their product bank, and will come out before you even launch the product. So it's not a great idea to go ahead and build businesses that are being actually pitched to be sold to an incumbent. The whole purpose is that somebody is insensibly mad and saying that I can disrupt. But one has to be logical. In fintech, a passion alone doesn't cut it. One has to be grounded. Your vision can be in the clouds, but you can't get cloudy in your vision. So one can dream big, one can aspire for the sun, moon and the stars, but at the end of the day, it is about what evolution opportunities come up and how do you react to it. So I'm wanting to be candid even with a company like Slice, a very different use case. It was a consumer business, and from there on multiple pivots over, and now we are a small finance bank. Did any one of us ever believe that Slice will be a small finance bank? Then all of us are lying collectively. So, but yeah, we did feel about it strongly when we took measures that we had this approach where regulator first, no arbitrages, and Slice was an NBFC by way back in 2018 or 2019. And we never shied away from there. So when finally the credit card ban came, there was a business model and there was a licensed entity that was moving on. So there was always that acceptance of the fact that there is one of the regulators who's going to always watch over anything which is fintech. The fin plus the tech, like I said at the beginning of this chat. And we actually are, I think one might count as oversimplifying, but we are not trying to get into very complicated bifurcations within fintech. The way we look at fintech is very